All right, this is a depiction of Atlantis, which was described by Plato in a work he did. It was called Timaeus, I believe. It's hard to pronounce, but it's in that area. Now, this was a work that was done by Solon, using a bunch of priests from ancient Egypt to compile this historical record of Atlantis. So it's not something that, they thought up last week like the people today. They're looking at Crete and Santorini and all these different things 3,000 years ago, 4,000. Plato was so specific. He said that it happened 9,100 years prior to him. That puts it at approximately 11,000 years ago, somewhere in that area. He spoke exactly of the eye of the Sahara collapsing and the mud draining. They will never speak of so much mud again. It ran out into the ocean. In this video, I show all of the evidence for this. All of the evidence. All right, I captured this on the Science Channel. They were looking at the eye of the Sahara. They have no clue what it is. And I mean, it's so obvious what it is, and they have absolutely no clue. So listen to what this says.
2000. This striking image is captured from space over North Africa. It shows a massive circular structure in the desert. At its widest point, it's 25 miles across. Geologists struggle to explain what they're looking at, but they give it a name. The Eye of the Sahara.
Across the Eye of the Sahara, you probably see various ridge lines come up and down, but you wouldn't see anything like what we see from space.
All right, let me just set this up for you. What happened was, as the space station and so forth started seeing things around the Earth, and people started seeing things, well, what is this? What is this? Well, they looked at this, and they just thought, oh, this must be an impact crater. Oh, it must be a Richter event. Oh, it must be some kind of plasma discharge, something. And never even once have I heard anybody say maybe it's Atlantis. I can't believe the thought process. They go everywhere else on the world, all different time frames that make no sense whatsoever. Herodotus puts Atlantis right exactly in this spot. You can see the mud drain all over. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And the only reason I can come up with why these people stay away from all of the facts is so they can make more money at going and investigating here and there. Right? That's the only thing I can think, because once this stuff is out, I mean, it's just so obvious that it's all over. the money is going to dry up for these projects. Although they should be able to go out and actually do some real research instead of just guessing. Maybe they could use the money to go and actually see the true things that they've been, skirting around. That's all I can say. All right, here's Herodotus's map. it's Atlantis is right there. It's right there. It's written right on his map. Atlantis. Atlantis. What can I say? This is from 450 BC. He must have been a fool. We treat these people like they were fools, and we're so smart now we could think. 450 BC, he had this on his map, and it shows that it drained. And this is the Atlas Mountains, the Atlantis Mountains. I just can't believe. And then they put up in here Crete and Santorini, and then somewhere over in South America to Bimini Road, and this other guy's looking in Louisiana. I mean, it's just right there. It absolutely drives me insane. I'm sorry to act this way, but I just can't take it anymore. I just can't imagine what happened to the human mind. All right, the reason I made that statement about the collapse of the human mind is they just won't respond to reality. Oh, there's no DNA. No, we don't see it. Don't see it. Don't. We're not going to talk to you. Well, it's true, and the things I'm showing are factual, and I'm showing the facts for them. Now you're going to have to see a few minutes of proof about mud fossil university and mud fossil DNA and all of the things that we're seeing. There's explanations for all of them. There's new species. There's these notos we find in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them everywhere. Everything that's presented here is factual and supported. And now we'll go forward. By the way, the discoveries coming in are just absolutely astounding. This is a new species of, we're calling it no-toe. I discovered this one here, which is completely preserved. This was partially eroded. Another researcher found it. We're working with people all over the world. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those, gigantic ones too. They have a spring inside them instead of tendons. You see that little strap in the back? Same strap here. Now, I'm going to show you some other information about giant humans. And this is something that we really have to address and discuss this with academics and the students that they are entrusted to protect and take care of. And their whole entire job now is are fiduciaries to these students. They have them in such a position as they cannot even speak a word against, or they will be destroyed. They're paying them in the first place. They're seeking them out for their help, and the people that are supposed to be helping them refuse to see this. It's been 7 or 8 months now, or more, and nobody will respond whatsoever. And I've had it for 6 years, and nobody responds. And I have DNA and CAT scans and all the rest, and you'll see. And then a few seconds later, you're going to see Atlantis as you have never seen before. Okay, my mud fossil friends, once again, mixed emotions, mixed feelings, reservations, concerns. However, nobody seems to be interested in getting back. I was asking for Mauritania and China to somebody contact me, and back here, vast seaport discovered undisturbed, and looking for help with that, and nobody seems to be interested. So I'm just going to say what it is. And I showed over here, this is the area that I was talking about, and talked about Atlantis. And what we're going to be talking about today is Atlantis. But I also want you to understand that the history that we're being taught, or the kids are being taught for extreme amounts of money, is just not correct. And they're not really paying attention, don't want to know about it. Which is to me, is a failure of the academic system. Now, I don't want to be nasty to anybody, but it's been 6 years I've had DNA certified giant human beings, and they're right over here. I'm not saying anything that's not true. I got them all DNA certified. 3 different DNA tests. I have CAT scans. I have chemistry. I have an anatomist that certified it, and this is a giant human fingertip. Giant human fingertip. And that is where the tendons invest in the side. All right? When you go inside, that's where the tendon locks in here. The bone is in the middle. Of course, they're mud fossils. They don't have the same bones, right? There's no bones. See, what happens is calcium is extremely reactive in water, and these will come out of the water. But the fascia in the water and the flesh in water, if it's 7.4, 7.3 pH, it doesn't even know you're dead. Because that's what it lives in, is that wet environment. They get waterlogged. And then after they're waterlogged, they, when they dry out, they turn into stone. Now that is a distal phalanges carbon silhouette of the distal phalanges tip. And then there's a vein side, artery side. Vein does not blow out when you die. See? Artery side does, and there's 3 of them on the artery side too, and there's the artery, and that's what this is an eroded one. Now that, along with this, we're in the same hole, along with the knuckle. There's a knuckle here. You see that bone? That's the bone part of the knuckle there, and this is just the way the tendon comes down, and then these come off to the side, and that's the see that? Yeah. It's a muscle right there. You see it? How it's all woven together? That's the muscle, and that's on that side of the bone, and this is the other side of the bone that was eroded. One of these fingers was sticking out one way, and one was sticking out the other, and I have the palm, too. It's 3 feet wide. And it's just a palm, there's no question about it. It's all been DNA tested. That was DNA tested, CAT scanned, and all that stuff. So this is nothing, and this was DNA tested, too. That's a human lung. You show that to any anatomist, and if they don't know what it is, I don't know, I wouldn't go there to get any work done. That's the fascia tongue on the bottom that invests it or holds it in or whatever it does. It keeps it in the matrix of the system. That is the pleura, and that's the pattern on the pleura of the left lung. That is the depression of the heart on the left lung. And this is, and they separate out on these fascial lines. So this, and that's CAT scan, and DNA tested, all of that. So, and I'll show you the DNA test. Okay, there's a DNA test, and there was 3 of them done on this. This was back in 2015, 3 years ago, well, 2.5 years ago. Now, and it was done by a certified lab, and they used the ancient DNA kits and did it all the way you're supposed to. And it took a couple of months to get this done, and it came back. All of the results were positive. The negative controls were negative. 2 of the samples were dense in DNA, and 1 was not quite as dense, but it was there. And they came out Homo sapien, mitochondrial cytochrome B gene, and mitochondrial D loop region. Homo sapiens. They're modern human giants. I showed you the stuff, and there they are. Now, I think I got the picture of the palm too. Hold on. All right, there's a giant hand. That's 36 inches wide, and there's some of the bits and pieces. There's more found since then. This has really started to decay a lot because it's outside. Now, this, as you can see, this is the palm. This is exactly what you have in your hand. And I've studied this extremely well. Every single feature is there that should be. This is it right here. Now, you see this stuff here, and watch this. You see that right there? That's this. If you could look at that close, you can see that it looks almost like it's painted on there, like it's plastered on it. That is the tendon. And this is the palm of your hand. That's the material that is in this bumpy part of your hand. You are constructed of extremely specific thing. You see it? And then, and this is only up to, I believe it was up to here. And it's 36 inches wide. It's a good size hand. Okay, we're looking down at Atlantis. We are over a mile high. There's an eye altitude, they call it, where the elevation is 1,339 feet, but we are up in the sky looking down from over a mile away. We're at 8,900 feet. So we're looking at some very big things down here. Now, I'm saying this is the wall right here. Now, follow me through. This is one of the walls. Okay, there's other ones. There's another one over here. Don't forget, we're a mile high still. Well, not quite a mile high now, about 4,000 feet. Now, this being the wall, these are the channels coming from the other ring or from the open ocean. Now, you notice these little tiny slips. These are the boat slips. They're about 20 feet wide, a little more than that maybe, or somewhere in that area. Now, every single one of them has access to the ocean. Right? The width of this pretty well corresponds to, what Plato said. These, I believe, these little white blocky looking things are storehouses or some kind of structures or foundations, whatever. I'm sure there's no structures there anymore. I'm sure this is some patterning that indicates that everything was there, because I can see it. There's no question it's what it is. And as it ran off this way, you can also see, as I said, it piled up on this wall, and that comes up and then it drops back down again, and it goes out into the open ocean. Now, so here's your wall. Here's all your houses or your storage facilities. Every slip has its own access. Every single one. Not a single one is missing access into these channels. Same thing this way. They all have access going into the main channel that ran around the island, and then they ran over this way from that main channel over to this ring. Now, let's go, and I'm not going to go with everything. And these are see these colors? Those colors are from transition metals. And the walls were all covered with brass and bronze and tin and orochium, that type of thing. They're all metals. Now, let's look and see if there's anything in these slips. And I think there is. I think there's either there are plants growing there or there's some kind of things that got left behind when they all drowned. And they would have drowned literally within seconds, minutes tops. As this thing sunk, it was done. And then whatever happened after that just kept happening and happening for, it was only a day and a half, I think. So it didn't last too long to drain an ocean. And these are all the slips. Every single one of them has access to every single one. And these little dots are always in these channels. Right? This color is the color of the channel. That's what things are. That's what they are. That's what they are. That's what they are. There's some here. There's some here. And then there's some that got washed out here. Or whether they grow in there, I have no clue. But I know that they're all up in here, and why would they all be parked up in here or both? I'm thinking that there's something there, and it should be taken care of as an antiquity if it is there. That's my point. And things could be found that were. This was supposed to be where the gods lived. This was given to Poseidon as his lot when the gods were here. That's what they say, and. I'm not going to fight with anybody about that, because everything I've found appears to be true in history, even though it's absolutely amazing. Alright, so that's the Eye of the Sahara, and all that poured out of there, all of this sediment, exactly like Plato said, and happened 9,000 years before him, let's say 11,400 years ago. It came out to the Cape Verde Islands. They're now saying that it collapsed out here, and it happened 60,000 years ago, and it's collapsed offshore. And they obviously can see it came out of the whole Sahara Ocean came out. And they said the Atlanteans, they own this whole thing, and I think what they meant was they owned it as an ocean, because this whole thing was an ocean. And they ended up going over to the highlands of the Ethiopias, and they came out of the mud. Sophisticated in every way. They were the long-headed people, and they dominated the round-headed, childlike people that saw them as gods. I mean, they were gods. They're from Poseidon. So that's all I have to say, and I hope the government of Mauritania sees this. I can't contact anybody. I don't know whether I have some problem with my stuff or somebody else's stuff, but I can't seem to get through to anybody.